Carnival. Party, color, music, and crowds. But what if I told you there's something lurking among the revelers? Something that doesn't dance, doesn't sing, doesn't shine. Something that merely observes and chooses. In this video, 3 stories reveal what happens when Carnival blends with the world of the dead. Get ready. Settlement is loose, and he might be closer than you imagine. My name is Roberto, and until that Carnival night, I never took the warnings of the spiritual world serious. I remember the words of my grandmother when she was alive, smoking a cigar and saying, "On Carnival, the worst spirits roam free. Be careful not to get attached to any of them." I used to laugh at these warnings, thinking they were just old stories meant to scare children. Little did I know that on that night, I would discover that fear exists and that some advice is better when heeded. It was a vibrant carnival, and I was eagerly awaiting the new year, just looking forward to jumping, playing, and flirting a lot. The party in the neighboring town was in full swing, and of course, I was there. Loud music, laughter, revelry, and the freedom that only this time of year can provide. I felt free, light, as if nothing could touch me. But the early morning hours were approaching, and after hours of dancing, I decided to head home. I was exhausted, having come with some friends who along the way decided to say goodbye and head to a more secluded spot to flirt. I, however, continued on my way home, walking along the deserted road when I saw him. A man standing at the edge of the street, cloaked in a black cape that blended with the shadows of the night. At first I thought he was someone in costume. It was perfectly normal, but no. When I looked closely, what terrified me the most were his hands, curled and twisted backward, as if the bones had been cruelly dislocated. He appeared to be more a creation of my worst nightmares. At that moment my stomach churned, but I, in a mix of bravery and desperation, pressed on quickly, passing by him without turning my face. Then, something terrible happened. A few meters ahead, he was there again. Motionless, twisted hands. But now a malevolent smile seemed to expand, devouring the light around him. The atmosphere around me became heavy. It was as if the night was sucking my energy. A cold chill ran down my spine, paralyzing me. Then I heard the voice. "Run!" There was no one, but the voice screamed in my mind, like an echo of warning. Without thinking, my body reacted, and I submitted to instinct. I ran with my heart pounding in my throat, thinking of nothing but getting out of there. The sensation of something evil following me made my flight even more desperate. I could hear footsteps behind me, hurried, an irregular sound. It was horrible. I'll never forget it, like something or someone was scratching the ground. I didn't allow myself to look back. I knew that could cost me my life. It was when I finally spotted a bar and, upon arriving, I stopped in front, trying to catch my breath. The world around me spun, and the image of the twisted, smiling man was burned into my mind. An old man with a penetrating gaze stood outside, and as he lit a cigar, he calmly observed me and said, "He almost got you, didn't he?" I was confused and swallowed hard, and the truth settled in me like an oppressive fog. I knew exactly who he was talking about. The old man exuded a mysterious aura as he looked down the empty road, as if he were watching something I could not see. If it weren't for the protective spirit that accompanies you, you wouldn't be here anymore. The silence that followed was suffocating. With every passing second, the tension within me grew. I wanted to ask questions, but a deep instinct told me not to. I looked again, and the old man was no longer there. What remained in the air was just the strong smell of cigar smoke, intertwined with the fear that nestled in my heart. I had escaped something I really didn't understand, but the certainty that evil is not just a story was clear as the night when everything happened. Now, if you found this story frightening, prepare to enter a new nightmare. What happened with the gravedigger who witnessed an ESU facing a dark spirit in a cemetery is something that will make you think twice before visiting a place like that. Call me Nady, and I almost didn't return from Carnival that year. I've always loved Carnival. Always. The vibrant energy, the infectious music, the colors that dance through the night. However, that night, I danced with someone I shouldn't have. And, by miracle, I managed to escape. It was early morning when I lost track of my friends. The electric trio had already passed, and the crowd was beginning to disperse, leaving only laughter and fatigue behind. I was walking along Rua Augusta, trying to find my way back. The street was still crowded, but a peculiar sound began to invade my ears. Bum. Bum. It was the sound of drums. A block was still in the street. I looked towards the sound and noticed the revelers. Tall, thin, wearing tattered clothes, as if they had emerged from another era. The expressions on their faces were strange, almost petrified, as if joy were a forgotten memory. The instruments, in their dull shine, seemed worn down by time. But what scared me the most was the silence that surrounded them. No one spoke. No one laughed. They danced as if they were hypnotized, their eyes fixed straight ahead. I panicked. Something inside me screamed to get out of there. Then, suddenly, someone grabbed my hand. It was a woman dressed in gold, with cold skin and deep, soulless eyes. "Come," she said, her voice a mere deafening whisper. Before I could react, I was pulled into the block. The rhythm intensified. The drums sounded louder, and the ground seemed to tremble beneath my feet. I wanted to let go of that woman's hand, but it felt like something invisible held me prisoner. I tried to break free, but it was futile. The revelers began to watch me. Their vacant eyes were deep. The dirty clothes they wore looked more like rags than garments. Then, I saw something that stopped my heart. Their feet did not touch the ground. A chill ran down my spine, and panic intensified. The truth hit me like a punch. That block wasn't for the living. The voice that saved me. I tried to scream, but my words got lost in that horror-filled crowd. No one on the street seemed to see us. They danced around us as if the block were an illusion. I could see everyone outside of that block of the dead, but those who were outside couldn't see the crowd. The golden woman tightened her grip on my arm, her penetrating gaze fixed on me. "Now you come with us," she said. It was then that, amid my desperation, I heard it. A strong, deep voice cutting through the air like a storm yelled, "She does not belong to you." The block stopped instantly. The drums went silent. A new figure appeared in the scene, tall, cloaked in dark robes, and with eyes like burning embers. "She will not go to Setulam," he said. He looked at the revelers and merely shook his head. The grotesque smiles disappeared from their faces, and the air seemed to vibrate around me. A cold wind passed over me, and in the blink of an eye, the block simply vanished. I was back on the street, alone, covered by the glow of dawn. The sun began to rise on the horizon, painting everything with a soft yet strange light. A small black confetti fell on my shoulder, a reminder that sometimes the night holds dark secrets. I was disoriented, managed to get back home, and I didn't say anything to anyone until today. Since that day, I've never been the same. Because now I know that in Carnival, not every block is made for the living. Hey. My name is Jorge, and for over 30 years, I played at Carnival in Sao Paulo. Samba runs in my blood like a pulse that never fades. My Samba school was my home, and my bateria was my family. But that year, something happened that changed everything. The parade that changed everything, it was my last performance, and I felt it in my chest. A profound sensation, as if the energy of Carnival was intertwined with my heartbeat. I played like never before. The repique marking the time, the surdo shaking the ground, the avenue vibrated to the sound of the drums. But suddenly, something changed. The music became strange. A discomfort began to invade my being. It was as if I were hearing a different sound from the bateria. I looked around. My friends had changed. The faces once familiar seemed too pale, the eyes sunken with a fatigue that seemed beyond normal. But the worst was yet to come. It was when I spotted the master of the bateria. He looked different. His skin was gray, his gaze empty. And then a smile formed on his skeletal face. Jorge, your time has come. My legs trembled. I froze. My time? What did he mean by that? I looked down and saw my own feet floating. The dark truth, I wasn't touching the pavement. I was floating, like the dead. Everything came as a shock. Memories began to intertwine in my mind. I remembered the night before. The dark street, the car speeding toward me, the impact. The blood mixing with the asphalt. And then, the cruel truth hit me. I was already dead. The bateria I heard? It was the sound from the other side. And the Samba school around me? It was a procession for me. The crowd applauded, but strangely, they couldn't see me. To the world of the living, I no longer existed. I was part of the parade of the dead. The last beat, then, he appeared. At the end of the avenue, there he was, the guardian of the dead, tall, wrapped in a dark cloak, waiting for me. He looked at me, and a chill ran down my spine. I knew it was my time to go. The parade was ending. The procession would disappear with the dawn. But before leaving, something inside me stirred. I played one last time, with all my strength. The final beat of my repique echoed through the avenue. And then, silence. The avenue was empty. The city began to wake, and I was no longer there. If you've made it this far, now you know the truth. At Carnival, not everyone who dances, sings, and plays is alive. The dead sometimes walk among us, and if you hear a drum sounding alone in the early morning, it might be a warning. Or a call. If you enjoyed these stories, get ready for the next video, because the next one is even darker, and it may reveal who really dances with death. subscribe to the channel, and have a great carnival.